Greetings. This is Brother Dawood. This is the Dawood Pages. Let's get into the story of those who influenced Master P. I said in the other videos that Master P was born in New Orleans, Uptown Calliope Projects, Merrill Courtway on Erida Street, right in the trenches, or should I say right in the middle of the Calliope. The Calliope was nicknamed the home of the dope due to its drug distribution networks. Master P comes from a basketball-playing family. He saw the harsh realities of his hood. P mentioned on several interviews that he didn't have a bed to sleep on until he was 17 years of age. The frustration from poverty pushed P to jump off the porch as a teen to get his hustle on. It was his cousin Jimmy, aka Hotboy, aka Hot One, who introduced him to the game, or should I say the street life. Also, P right-hand man, Big Boz, who is the vice president of No Limit, was also responsible for putting P on in the game, the street game I should say. The Calliope has always been a rough place, but at this time when P was out there, the hood was at peace, so to say. P and his childhood friends formed a clique called the Tuesday Crew for 3 reasons, and that was due to an altercation with a robbery that almost took place, which occurred on a Tuesday. Another reason was to protect their hood, to make it possible for their family and siblings to come out without having problems from other hoods. And also, they was a D-boy clique who was known for going out there and getting to how they live. You follow? They used to get out there on their motorbikes and hit the city. They was flashing. They was living, they was flamboyant, living that life. Things wouldn't be at peace for too long. The death of a kingpin or a person by the name of Sam Scully had caused confusion and a breakout of violence within the projects and the surrounding areas. But before embarking in the drug game, P saw basketball as his dream for getting out of the hood. He became paranoid and wanted a change. At this time, this was during the Glenn Metz era reign or supremacy. One day, him and his cousin Jimmy, aka Hot One, aka Hot Boy, was approached by some dudes that wanted to rob them. Jimmy, being that loyal and stand-up person, tried to protect P. And in the whole incident that occurred, he was shot 7 times. P had to go for cover, and he ran into a dark project hallway. And while running into this hallway, he faked being hit. What he did was he shook the handle on one of the apartment's door and ducked as if he went into the apartment. And the dudes came in the hallway and shot through the door that they thought the young P went through. And one of the dudes ran back at the hall and responded, "Yeah, I got P. I shot him." So after the whole thing cleared up and the guys ran off from the incident, P went to his cousin Jimmy, who was unconscious. Paramedics was called. Jimmy was rushed to the hospital. But when Jimmy became conscious, he gave Master P a lecture and told him that he wanted him to leave the game alone and to do something with his life because he had talents. He said, "You're good in basketball. Make something of yourself. Stop being out here in the streets. Don't do this no more." But P wanted to seek vengeance for his cousin. One day, he ran into two of the dudes that had a problem with him and his cousin. and P and the two guys began having a shootout. And during the shootout, one of the guys ran away, and the other one was running behind a garbage dumpster to seek refuge from being shot. But when P came behind the garbage dumpster to shoot the guy, he ran out of bullets. Him and the guy both looked at each other, and the guy ran off. And this story was told by a couple members of No Limit a couple of times on different media outlets, magazines, and other YouTube videos. After this event, P decided that he had to leave. He had decided to either go to Richmond, California to go do something positive with his life because he was getting tired of the life that he was living in New Orleans. You follow? Before so, he would go and visit Houston with his clique. One time, while at the club, he ran into Rap-A-Lot owner and CEO James Prince. Jay Prince had on his mink coat that got Master P's attention. And the young Master P approached him and asked him, "What is it that you do?" Jay Prince replied that he owned his own record label. This is at the beginning of Rap-A-Lot Records, before it really took off, but it had some local fame. He asked him, "How do I start a record label?" Well, how do one start a record label? Prince gave him a quick rundown on what it takes to start and run a label. But P didn't necessarily take it too heavy at the time. He took it light. Now, at this time, P was in college in Texas for basketball, but he wound up getting an injury and was out from the college. So at this time, he decided to leave for North and go out to Cali, to Richmond, Cali, or should I say the Rich. He didn't know what it was that he was going to do while in Cali. He had ideas between opening a car wash or a record store. He decided the record store. The store evolved into a record label. While starting his label, he ran into a fellow New Orleans native by the name of King George. They lived just a block from each other in New Orleans, and they were so happy to see each other, they began sharing stories and asking what each other's motives was out there in Cali. P shared his idea with King George and told him, "I got this record label thing going." And then King George jumped aboard, and No Limit Records began. He put together a team by the name of the Real Untouchables, which is t.r.u. When you look at the word t.r.u, the abbreviations, it stands for the Real Untouchables. And the Real Untouchables, or should I say True, consisted of King George, Chili D, Magic Mark, Big O, Sonia C, and Master P himself. They dropped the album Mind of a Psychopath, which was Master P's first album, which wasn't really a success. But after the completion of this album, Master P gets a call stating that his brother Kevin Miller was shot and was pronounced dead. He almost gave up on the music, but he used the music to channel his pain, and he repped his brother and his music. Master P mentioned on the song that he had, R.I.P., which was on the Down South Hustler compilation. He said, "I watch movies like Ghost, wondering, did my brother really know who slit his motherfucking throat? That's what he said on it, because there was different stories revolving around the death of his brother Kevin. So that's why he mentioned that. But he dropped several albums before coming back to the NO with his brothers and Big Egg, who became a true member and part of No Limit Records. And he's from the Rich. Big Ed is from the Rich, or Richmond, California. But when P hit back to New Orleans, there was a different change going on. He wanted to go back and help some of the people in his hood, or some of his boys. And also, he was back in the South to catch the wave of Southern hip-hop scene. His cousin Randall Watts, another Calliope resident by the name of Levi Johnigan, had the Calliope on lock. This is during the time of the Pena era, or Pena, or Richard Pena. Richard Pena was a drug lord, or a kingpin, that had different distribution cocaine hubs in the city of New Orleans. The Calliope was his heart, so to say. Randall was his right-hand man, Randall Watts, or Calliope Slim. Randall Watts, or should I say Calliope Slim, was considered the landlord of the Magnolia housing projects. He was one of those type of guys that kept things within the complex in order, and if there was any disputes that happened, he was there to dissolve it, to try to keep the projects at peace and keep the attention from law enforcement to come due. Now, he was also considered a contract killer and hitman for the Pena regime. Many thought that Pena was Cuban, but he was of Dominican descent. He was from Miami, Florida. He came to the NO during the Glenn Metz days, or era, or supremacy, and was his rival. Pena had put together a system to where there could be peace and quiet, so to say, within operating on the underground, or should I say underworld level, without having too many problems. Some say that this law was called the G Code. And it said that Pena took his connects, his money, to hire police officer, hitman, and drug clicks to do his bidding within the city of New Orleans. P was still between the Calliope and the South. There was a couple of incidents that have occurred. The Calliope and the Magnolia have been enemies for a long time, for years. It became worse as time progressed. The label Cash Money Records, that is owned by Ronald Slim and his brother Ryan Slim, that many know as Baby or Birdman, was from the Magnolia by proxy. And Master P and his brothers is from the Calliope, and they are No Limit. So this is the No Limit and Cash Money rival beginnings. There was a large shipment of cocaine coming in the city, 100 keys or more. That was Richard Pena's. It got intercepted by the king of Apple and Eagle Street by the name of George Cup HANKTON, whose family and team is connected, or was connected, with the Magnolia and the Methamphetamine. A war started brewing. There was contracts put out which resulted in a death on the side of certain guys from Magnolia. And then there was contracts that was put out on dudes from the Calliope. But the dudes from the Calliope wasn't taking nothing light. They became on guard because of the feud that was taken, or the feud that was going on. One day, members of the infamous Hotboy clique was around the Calliope projects, and that person went by the name of Mosquito. And the dudes from the Calliope know about this guy Mosquito. So the Calliope boys thought he was there to carry out a hit. They didn't take no chances on no shorts. Mosquito was shot over 20 times and was pronounced dead. Now the rumors and everything started. The stories was pointing that it was Randu that was out of the Calliope projects that was responsible for doing it. So this war started brewing. And then as time went on, Randu, or Calliope Slim, was killed. And he was shot 18 times. Then the rumors and the words out on the street that there was another person from the Hot Boys clique by the name of Terrence Gangsta Williams that had shot or killed Randu Watts. This is where the No Limit and Cash Money beef really started getting out of hand. That's why it wasn't necessarily the artists, but it was the label owners that had problems, because people from both sides that they was connected with was having problems. So this whole thing started spilling over into the music industry, where both parties started sending subliminal disses and shots at each other. You follow? So we rose over to 98, and this is when the feds, tried closing No Limit down due to Pena, or Richard Pena. Master P had two artists on his label that was twins who go by the name of Cain and Abel, who previously went by the name of Double Vision before coming to No Limit. Cain and Abel came to No Limit Records as a favor. Some say that Pena had came and approached different associates from No Limit and asked, can they be a part of the No Limit imprint? But P was forced to let them go, and the feds were trying to close down No Limit due to this, because of the drug kingpin Richard Pena. And he was sentenced to life in 1998 for racketeering, cocaine distribution, murder, and a couple of other charges. He was actually given the death penalty, but it was overwritten. And Pena was just given life. And this same year, the person by the name of Terrence Gangsta Williams was arrested, and he was given life for CE, a continuing criminal enterprise. And he was the youngest person ever hit with that charge. But the labels, Cash Money and No Limit, they continued sending subliminal shots. Both of these labels was influenced by the streets of New Orleans from the Scully era and the Mets era, and they both was out there and putting music out during the Pena era until he fell. But now, in the same year, around 97 and 98, Jimmy, who was Master P's cousin, who I mentioned earlier, comes home from jail. He become head of logistics for No Limit. Jimmy, or Hot One, was featured on Main Green Major Players album. He was also on the Game of Life movie, which was a short film put out by No Limit. He was on the movie Foolish and Lockdown. Jimmy was known in the streets of New Orleans too. His cousin Master P, had a problem with a part of the artist by the name of Pimp C. You know, that beef started due to a promise that was made to Pimp C by Master P over music equipment, the break me off something masters, and the disrespect of Pimp C mother by Master P. Pimp heard that Master P disrespected or cursed his mother out due to an argument over P wanted Pimp C off the Cash Money tour to come tour with No Limit. And Pimp mother wouldn't agree with this whole thing, so it resulted in P cursing out Pimp C's mother. And when Pimp heard this, he became angered. He began saying F or fuck No Limit or Master P during his shows, and he recorded a song called I Know You Strapped. And it was rumored that one day Pimp was checked in at a hotel. He recalled waking up one day, and that when he woke up, Master P was standing on top of him with a gun pointing in his face. He said he seen all these guys that had No Limit shirts on, and they pulled him up out of the bed, and he said that P began pistol whipping him. And he said this resulted in his ribs becoming broke. But Mia X gives a different account of the situation. She stated it was Master P cousin, Jimmy or Hot One, which was her husband, who had did the whipping or the beating. She was receiving calls about Jimmy and what he had done, and that he flew from Louisiana to where Pimp was stationed just to teach him a lesson for the disrespect of No Limit. And she gives an account that people was calling her, telling her that which would happen. She didn't believe it at first, but then she got the truth because Jimmy came out and told her that he was tired of Pimp C running his mouth and disrespecting No Limit. And then you hear another account of where Pete called Jay Prince and asked for permission to take out Pimp C, and that Jay Prince told Pete to let him go. But the beef was squashed. Pimp C later on announced that it was a misunderstanding with him and P, and they didn't have a beef. But UGK and Pimp C recorded numerous songs with No Limit. One of them being Played from the South Stack G's. One of them being Break Me Off Something, I Miss My Homies, Toss Up, I Kick Though, and Bump and Grind. But in 2005, it was said that Jimmy or Hot One was dead, that he had died. Now I don't have no history on the death of Jimmy. I don't know if it was by natural causes or was he killed. But I know it was in 2005. But Master P shoots him out or send him shout outs on a couple of songs. Mainly the Miller Boyz Hip Hop History album, which was dedicated to Jimmy, or should I say Hot One. But Jimmy, or Hotboy, or Hot One, is preceded by his son, Little Jimmy, who was a rapper or artist on Long Limit at one time by the name of Baby Soldier. But presently he go by the name of Jimmy Miller, and he helps out with logistics with No Limit presently. P has continued to try to keep the No Limit Forever brand alive, but he's having a lot of challenges. He's receiving a lot of criticism and put down for his present movie, I Got the Hookup Too. Many of y'all saying that P or No Limit is running out of gas. Some say he have ran out of gas. we will see what will happen next. But I'm about to close out this video. So you know how I'm about to close it out. It's shalom, salams, Godspeed.